few months ago, I was out on our weekly street medicine outreach with a small group of volunteers. We had just set out for the evening with our big medical bags on our backs, biking towards Greektown, when we came across a woman sitting on the ground. She was leaning up against the side of a building with one shirt pulled down, another pulled up to cover her face, and a bag of her belongings sitting beside her. We pulled off to the side of the road and hopped off our bikes, and I hung back with our gear while the other volunteers went to go and introduce themselves and took a seat on the ground beside her. While all this was going on, I could see two people walking down the sidewalk in our direction and eyeing our team. And as they passed by me, one of them turned to their friend and without even a hint of hesitation in their voice said, "I don't know why they even bother, she already looks dead." I can't even tell you how angry, frustrated, and just disappointed I was in that moment as they just went on their way. A few minutes later, the volunteers wrapped up their conversation and we hopped back on our bikes. We probably didn't make it 300 feet before we bumped into two gentlemen we had actually set out looking for that evening. A few minutes later, I was sitting on the ground with one of these men and another volunteer when a motorcycle pulled up in front of us and the rider hopped off. I immediately jumped up and I marched right up to the guy. My blood was still boiling from that last comment, so I was basically primed to bite his head off. But he took me by surprise. He took my hand in his, and he told me that he sees our street medicine teams out all over the city. He said that he doesn't know how to help, but he knew that we did. He handed me $100 and just asked that I use it to help somebody. Now, talk about emotional whiplash. My name is Ellie Small, and I'm a second-year medical student at Michigan State University College of Osteopathic Medicine. I attend our Detroit campus, where for the past year, I've had the absolute privilege of serving as the president of Detroit Street Care. We're a service organization dedicated to providing medical care and resources to those experiencing homelessness in Detroit through both shelter-based clinics and street medicine outreach. We operate under the supervision of volunteer providers to bring medicine to the people, and it's our mission to do this work in a manner which both facilitates trust and encourages autonomy. Through this method, we're able to provide care for both chronic disease maintenance and acute non-emergent care. Now, street medicine is not unique to MSU-COM, and it's not unique to Detroit. Students and providers across our state, our country, and our world are serving their underserved neighbors through street medicine in an effort to bring those who have been excluded back into the fold of traditional healthcare and bring resources to some of the most vulnerable members of our community. To make one thing clear, I am not an expert in the world of street medicine, and I am excited by how much more I have to learn. But one thing I understand well is the role that students play in the world of street medicine, and in turn, the role that street medicine plays in our development as future providers. Through Detroit Street Care and programs like it all over the world, students are equipped to grow in humility, humanity, empathy, cultural competency, patience, kindness, and love. Now, I want you all to take a moment to think about the last time you hugged someone goodbye. The last time you shook hands with a coworker. Maybe you patted someone on the back. Maybe you're holding hands with someone right now. For most of the people in this room, it's not a challenging thing to remember the last time we touched another person, because touch is such an incredibly normal part of our everyday lives. I forgot what it felt like to hold hands. I've never been this lonely in my life. I don't remember the last time someone touched me. Will you remember me? I don't want to die out here without anybody remembering me. I want you to remember me. If we all recognize that touch is such an incredibly normal part of our everyday lives, why is it that the simple act of taking someone's hand in mine prompted such profound and wildly heartbreaking responses? This is just one example from the long list of ways our neighbors experiencing homelessness have been dehumanized, ostracized, and made to feel less than simply for being. As osteopathic medical students, we learn a special set of skills called osteopathic manipulative medicine. These hands-on techniques are used to diagnose and treat, and when used within the greater osteopathic philosophy, promote healing of body, mind, and spirit. In addition to the conventional care we're able to offer in the shelters and on the streets, we're often able to use these techniques to promote self-healing. Because as you can imagine, many of our patients who spend their nights sleeping on the ground outside or upright in chairs undergo significant structural and functional changes to their bodies. These changes cause pain and dysfunction and are often compounded by other health problems. Now, we may not always have an examination table, so we might wind up on the grass in front of the Renaissance Center downtown, or find some other MacGyver-esque solution to diagnose and treat right then and there. For the gentleman pictured here, he typically can't bring himself to a fully standing position, though he relies on his feet as his major mode of transportation. For his particular challenges, we typically focus on treating his lower back and hamstrings. And on this particular day, his treatment didn't even take 20 minutes before he was able to stand up. And he looked at me and he said, "I spend my whole day looking at the ground. It feels so good to look you in the eye." While the physical benefits of our treatments may be obvious in a case like this one, there's so much more to it than that. Not only in this case is touch therapeutic to the body, it's humanizing to the person sitting in front of us. But this is where the importance of relationships come in. It takes a great deal of trust for our patients to put themselves into a vulnerable position and accept our care. And to build this trust, it's absolutely essential for our teams to show consistency and reliability, always offer a listening ear, and always act with a kind heart. The most powerful thing we have to offer typically isn't anything you'll find in our medication or treatment bags. The most powerful thing we have to offer comes through compassionate listening and treatment with dignity. It's the ability of our teams to align our goals with our patient's reality and create an individualized plan based in that reality. It's the ability of our teams to advocate with rather than for our patients, through which we can have a sustainable and reality-based impact. Oftentimes, I have friends or family members who aren't involved in street medicine asking me how they can help or what they should do if they come across someone experiencing homelessness. If there's a perfect answer out there to this question, I don't have it. But what I do say is this: smile, wave, make eye contact, acknowledge someone, introduce yourself, share a story, listen to a story. Whatever you do, it really doesn't matter, so long as you do it with kindness and with an appreciation for our shared humanity. At the beginning of this conversation, I told you about those two people who had spoken as if the woman we stopped to check on wasn't worth the space she was taking up on this earth. I think what really struck me about this comment, and the reason that I've thought about it almost every day since it happened, is because of how much I had in common with these two. Just like me, they were 20-something, blonde, and female, so we looked a lot alike. I know we shared a city. Who knows how much more we had in common? But I think all of these similarities highlight the most important aspect of this story and the reason I decided to share it with you all today. We all have a choice to see value in life. We can choose to understand that every single person on this earth has something to teach us if we take the time to listen. We can choose to understand that no one life is any more worth living than another. We can choose to be the woman who passes judgment, or we can be the man who gets off of his motorcycle. Who do you choose to be? As I said before, I'm not an expert in the world of street medicine, but one thing I can say with absolute certainty is this: you don't need to be an expert in anything to treat all people with kindness and all humans with humanity, because it's all of our job to make the invisible people visible. Thank you.